Well, let's go ahead and get this started, everyone. Welcome to this very important press conference announcing the launch of the Tommy Chong pre-roll line here in Michigan, along with MKX. We have several principals from MKX joining us today, including Sam Code, who's the CEO, as well as Tommy Chong. What I'd like to do is give Tommy an opportunity to say a few words to everyone, and then we'll bring Sam on, who can also say a few words, and then we'll start taking questions from the press. Tommy, take it away.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for participating in my quest to save the world with cannabis. We're doing pretty good considering. I went from being incarcerated for selling a bong, and now you can go into stores all over the nation and buy bongs and the cannabis that goes in the bongs. So we're making great headway. And like I said about saving the world, the cannabis. What I did, I watched an old episode of Dick Van Dyke Show. And I was amazed. In fact, I had to watch it twice because I was amazed at how much they promoted alcohol, because Dick did a great job of being a drunk and then being sober. And then they also promoted cigarette smoking. And that's how far we've come, because that show was family. It was for the family. And they wouldn't even have them sleep in the same bed. They had twin beds, Mary Tyler Moore and Dick Van Dyke. And so I was looking at what America was back in the day. And now I look at what America is today. And even though we're locked down, we can still go into stores now and buy my Tommy Chong pre-rolls and Tommy Chong products with the blessings of at least the state law enforcement. And eventually it'll be the federal people, and then the rest of the world. But we better hurry up. I'll tell you, America better hurry up, because it looks like Mexico is going to beat America to the punch. And if they do that, man, we're going to be flooded with some very inexpensive but excellent Mexican weed. so we're in the best shape we could possibly be. And I want to welcome and thank our new partners with the pre-rolls, and welcome to the world of Tommy Chong.
Sam, you have a non-traditional way of sourcing your cannabis. Could you explain a little bit how you're achieving the cannabis to supply for Tommy Chong's pre-roll line?
Well, I mean, as far as besides our own grow,
Right.
we have contracts throughout the state with the biggest growers and the best flower. So we have first rights of refusal, so we can get any amount of flower. We'll never run out. It's impossible for us. We have a little bit of advantage in the marketplace. So
perfect.
Never,
I love it. Michigan, man. That's my old stomping grounds there. Detroit. Yeah. I was at a big barbecue there in Detroit in the 70s, where the whole city was burning. Yeah, and I'm looking. Look, they got some good opportunities. I still want to buy that Ford ranch. That last time I was there, a few years ago, I was on a ranch that Henry Ford had, where he constructed the marijuana car. The car that made out of hemp. And so I thought, I'm going to talk. When we sell enough pre-rolls, I'm going to go buy it.
No, from the movie, the car made out of weed, you said?
Yeah. There was an actual. No, not my movie. The one that Henry Ford made. He made a car that was made out of hemp, and it ran on hemp fuel. And the only thing it had a gas burning engine. But yeah, I was on that farm. It's outside of Detroit, outside of, I don't know, Dearborn. Is there Dearborn?
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
Dearborn,
that
yes.
stuff is over there.
yeah. I think that's where it is. But yeah, there was a guy growing weed. Now that was a few years ago, and I imagine I don't know if he's still there, but the place was for sale. So I'm looking to buy it. 'Cause I love Michigan. I love that whole area.
We're the number one processor in the state. We sell more product than anybody in the state of Michigan, believe it or not, per LeafLink. And, you know, we'll get it out there. Well, if anybody's gonna get it out there, my point is we'll get it out there. So Tommy's in good hands.
Yeah, yeah. Just smoke up and relax and wait.
For sure.
That's pretty much my daily plan, so I'll just continue forward. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to open it up for other reporters that might have a question. If you'd like to unmute, go ahead. I'm sure we can be orderly and courteous to others. Dustin, Ashley, any of the rest of you?
I got a
Jimmy
question.
Young.
I always have a question for a legend like Tommy Chong. First of all, thank you for joining us. And more importantly, thank you for being age appropriate, Tommy. Okay. I can't tell you how many people I talk to in the cannabis industry who don't remember the 60s and 70s. Okay.
Yeah.
So just to reminisce alone is awesome. Okay.
I know what you mean, dude.
Hey, can you, in 90 seconds or less, can you give me your cannabis story? I'm starting this little promotion where we're going to actually solicit the public to share their cannabis stories. We've all heard the stories. Cannabis has saved my life. Cannabis has changed my life. Can you give me the role that cannabis has played in your life from perhaps at a young age to where you are now in 90 seconds? There's the tough part for you.
Okay. Well, Jimmy Kimmel just had Arnold Schwarzenegger on his show. And there was a picture floating around of Arnold and I smoking pot together, or at least being together. And then I mentioned that Arnold and I had smoked pot. Well, early in my life, when I was 16 years old, I tried to play football, but I was too skinny and too weak. And so I started weightlifting. And then I got serious into weightlifting to the point where I made sure I went to Gold's Gym, the mecca of bodybuilding, before it was anything. And that's where I met Arnold. And what I found out about cannabis is that was the only substance that the top bodybuilders and athletes of the day would do. They would not do alcohol. They would not do any kind of soda, anything that had sugar in it, milk, nothing. The only substance that they would celebrate a win with or to help with their training was to smoke a joint. And so that alone. And then the other thing, if I still got a few seconds, is that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar became a very good friend of ours at the height of his career. Now, he was going to retire, but because of his cannabis use for his migraine headaches, he was managed to play 7 years past his prime. And so that's my story about how healthy and how not just healthy if you're sick, but how to promote good health and longevity as well as everything else.
You know, you got a lot of sports figures getting into the cannabis space now, getting more and more celebrities involved with cannabis, and sports figures in particular are not afraid to take a social stand these days as opposed to in the past. Jabbar was a great outspoken person in that, way ahead of his time, basically. What do you want to accomplish with your name on this line of cannabis strains, and what is your goal? I mean, I hear the big picture. Let's change the world. I get it. We want to change the world. Are you confident that the culture is ready for this? Are you confident that our federal system is going to actually do the right thing?
Well, you know what cannabis is doing. It's sobering up the world. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing with cannabis. When you stop alcohol and you replace it with cannabis, Everybody's becoming sober. Now, I lived through the 40s, 50s, 60s. Alcohol was the biggest problem. Alcohol created so many problems in our society, including the racist laws. Because when they would lynch black people, they would get drunk first. When they would do all these crimes against humanity, they had to be liquored up first. And so what I see happening is a sober world. You see, even during the pandemic, think about it. During the pandemic, they stopped the alcohol sales because it was making people act too crazy. And look at what it did to the driving, the drunk driving. Think about it. And then they try to put, don't drive buzzed. They're trying to equate being high with being drunk, and that's not the case. Because I have friends, they're race car drivers that would use cannabis to help them maintain their nerves. Yeah. So that's in a nutshell. Cannabis is sobering up the world.
Rick, I never mute myself. You know that, right?
I saw that about you, Jimmy, and I just let it go. It's cool. But
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, what we're looking for here is an encouragement for people to stop by and get the Tommy Chong pre-rolls. And Tommy, your name itself and the MKX product line, both of those are really strong draws. But what's your message to Americans who might be interested in just trying cannabis for the very first time, who might be just interested and want to dip their toe in the waters? How would you advise them?
I would advise them to Google it first. Google, learn. It's like diving into a pool, or into a body of water. Don't ask the guy that's standing there. Go in there yourself. Check it out. See how deep it is. See if it's safe enough to dive, or you're just going to wade. And that's the same thing as cannabis. Just don't do it because I'm telling you to do it. Because it helped me. No, do your own research. Everybody's an individual, and there are a lot of reasons why people shy away from things, and especially cannabis. So I would not recommend just for everybody to do it. Not at all. Not at all, because I know that there are people with mental problems. There are people with health problems. There are people with allergies. You don't know. And it's not something that you want to take lightly. Like in the movies, we did. Yeah, we made fun of it and everything else, but we showed the truth. We showed how messed up you could get if you did too many of anything. But it was only a movie. It's a movie. In real life, it's serious. Like I've had parents tell me about their travel problems they're having with their kid. He was great until he started smoking weed, and now all he wants to do is sit in his room and play records and smoke his weed or listen to the TV or something. Well, there's a lot more. It's not just the weed. There's a lot more going on than just the weed itself. But the good news is that you can't die from it. You can't OD on it. You can't. The most you're going to do is go into. If you take too much, you might throw up, and you might be incapable of doing too much for a few hours or a few days. But you're not going to die physically. You're not going to hurt yourself. So my advice to anything about everything: know your terrain. Study, look at your phone. The greatest invention, I think, is the cell phone, because now when you're out in company and you're talking about a movie and you can't remember who was in it, 2 seconds later, someone's got their phone up, go, oh, it was so and so and so and so. And so do that with cannabis. That's what I want to tell everybody to do. Learn about cannabis, become an expert. Become an expert. It's not hard. And once you do, then the rest of the world is going to open up, because there's one thing that cannabis really it encourages curiosity. That's what when Cheech first smoked it, his first thing was, what else have they been lying to us about? he got curious. And so my message to everybody is don't trust anybody, but learn yourself. Don't dive into that pool unless you know it's deep enough. That's my message.
Good
I love
one.
that he's preaching responsible use of this product because, Tommy, you get it. It is a medicine and it has medicinal qualities that impact everybody's lives. And it's learning how to use it responsibly to get the most benefits and enjoyment out of it, right?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. That's what you want to do. And with life itself, you know, just like a lot of people, but I have no problem with people making mistakes, because that's what life is all about. That's why we're human. We're here to make mistakes because you don't learn anything by winning. You don't learn a thing. What you learn is how momentarily it is, how you got it one day and it's gone the next day. But education, we're here to learn. And as long as we keep learning, we're going to be okay. Now, a lot of, like when I was in prison, what they did? I was walking the track, they walk a track every night. That's what everybody does, in prison. And I'm walking the track with this old biker that had been in prison most of his life, in and out. And he had a nice attitude, and so I asked him, I said, teach me how to do time, and I know a lot of people looked at me like, what, you can learn everything, and I learned this from when I was on Dancing with the Stars. There's a lot of dances. They look so simple, but you have to learn them. You can't just go out there and magically know them. You have to learn them, no matter how simple they are. And so my life, and thanks to my wife too, because she's a great believer in learning, reading directions, and most people, they go through life, especially teenagers, they don't they don't even consider anything. They just jump in or try something or listen. And the worst thing that's going on around now, especially in the pandemic, is listening to other people, being too lazy to find out things for yourself. And that's why my wife has a friend that won't get vaccinated. And why not? Well, she heard that it's some kind of scheme by the government to control your mind or some stupid ass thing like that. But that's what I'm talking about. People get too lazy, especially when it comes to weed, man. I mean, when I first started smoking weed, I just didn't. In fact, when the guy gave me a joint, I didn't light it up. I put it in my pocket. And I was 17 years old at the time, and so he lit up his joint. And then when I took a toke, I just took a tiny little toke, and boom, it hit me right away. And then I said, "Wow, this is dynamite." And so I took my joint home, and I would just smoke a little joint, a little sip at a time, a little toke at a time. Then I'd put it out because I didn't want to be hooked. I didn't want to become a drug addict, And then the years went by. I realized, But then I went to Vancouver. And Vancouver, everybody was doing smack. Everybody was doing heroin. And you could see for yourself guys laying in the gutter with needles hanging out of their arms and, snot coming out of their nose. I mean, it's just ugly. And so when someone said to me, "Hey, do you want to try heroin?" And that image of some guy laying in the gutter, it came in my head. And I said, no. And so research and learn. Never stop.
Pro Cannabis Media programming is available live and on demand on our Facebook page at Pro Canna Media, on Instagram at Pro Cannabis Media, on LinkedIn also at Pro Cannabis Media, on YouTube and YouTube Live on Pro Cannabis Media, Twitter at Pro Canna Media, and on twitch.tv/Pro Cannabis Media. So like, share, and subscribe to all of our content, newsletters, and shows live or on demand.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.